Because this is the first time that we've been able to do a gathering like this, and since 2018, because we didn't do a special gathering for our partners that are in this room in 2019. And I told my husband, oh, first of all, I'm Constance McDerby. I'm with the Food and Wine Time Productions, and we founded Wine and Food Week 18 years ago. And that's my partner in life and partner in crime in the business, Clifton. So I was telling him earlier, I think it was yesterday, that in 2019, if it ever occurred to me that when we packed up all the supplies and rolled our truck home after a week long of the festivities, that it would be 30 years before we could do it again, I would have been a lot more present in the moment and been able to enjoy it instead of like next, what I've got to do next, that kind of thing. So with that, it's with a very grateful heart that I'm so thankful that you guys are here. Raise our glass to yourself, because without you, we couldn't be here. And without this beautiful facility to host us, then we wouldn't be sitting here on this gorgeous day having these amazing wines from our wine partner, Winebow. Thank you, Simon. Another glass of grace to you.
Salute.
So we're in for a full lineup of events this week. But just to give you a little bit of a background and just a snap of where we are now after 18 years. In 2019, and we don't have our figures yet for 2022, we grew attendees from 44 Texas cities, 10 states, internationally as well, 10,000 people, had over, I think it was 64,000 food servings, checked in over 7,000 bottles of wine. I think we had the wine walk was part of that event. Now we've moved it to October, and that was one of the things that was a positive thing that came out of COVID. So we could not have done this for 18 years without our presenting sponsor, HEB. So when we first created Wine and Food Week, it was created in the offices of HEB. When Market Street was a piece of red dirt, the gullies that were around the town center had not been filled with water or what was to become the waterway. When we visited with our partner and host location of our hotel and said, when do you need people in the Woodlands to make an economic impact? And they told us the first week in June, because as soon as Memorial Day hits, the people get focused on out of school and then they get out of town. So the local residents a lot of them are gone. So we bring in people from all over who book a hotel room and come and stay, mostly for the weekends, and the events during the week are mostly locals. So we bring great pride. Our company has been around for 20 years this year. So at that time when I told my husband, hey, you live in the 4th largest city in America. There's not a multi-day, multifaceted culinary wine event. We should start one. And he looks at me and goes, sure. And that conversation stopped for months. Like, yes, we got the classic yes dear. Like, she's gonna forget this and not gonna say this again. So I broached the subject a couple of times with him and got kind of the same response. I'm like, okay, this is my hobby out of control. I spent a lot of stressful business days in the media business, which is what my background was. Coming home at a long, hard day, laying in the bathtub, and he goes, you know, you want another glass? And the answer was always yes. Just saying. And so that was the hobby out of control. And then at that point in time, I went to the media partner that I was working with that had 4 radio stations and said, what do you think about this idea? And they said, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Get somebody to pay for it. So I went to the Galveston CBD, who wanted destination tourism to be able to put alcohol in people's hands and in their bodies, so they'd have to spend a hotel night. So they said yes. They did underwriting, and then I didn't know anybody in the wine business. Not so. I knew a lot of wines, but I didn't know any of the business. So I went to a local distributor and said, this is what I want to do. Can you help me? And they took me under their wings and said, yes, I've been wanting to do this myself, but we don't have the bandwidth to be able to do it. So let me introduce you to some people. And so that was the case, and they introduced me to a lot of suppliers. And one of the tape selections here tonight, the Yalumba, was at that very first event in 2002. So we didn't know anything. We didn't know what we were doing. We made $300. We drank really well for a long time with the leftover product. So I think that was a win. So that's how we got started. And then fast forward 2 years later, we went to HEB and said, could you consider sponsoring the Galveston Food and Viacom event that we created? And they said, no, we're not interested. We don't have any stores anywhere near there. That makes sense for us. But if you would do it here, and that's when they put me in the car and they drove me around and showed me the red dirt and the gum. And said, if you'll do it here, we don't have that many stores, but we will be the #1 wine retailer in Texas. Can you help us get there? And so that's how that partnership got started, and fast forward 18 years. Even during the tough times and the crazy times, HEB has been an amazing partner. And HEB brought Goya to us. And we have a partnership with Aruba for almost 15 years now. And Visit the Woodlands was not Visit the Woodlands, it was the Woodlands Township, and they needed to get people here. It was nowhere near the destination at that time when we started than it is now. So it's been nice to go through that journey together. And then the other part that's really gratifying to our hearts is we've always, our heart is in helping people. We don't tout our story that much, but our company, Food and Viacom Productions, gives 1/3 of our top line revenues, not our profits, to nonprofits. So whether that is in the form of wine pools or Dandle that we worked with for 18 years straight before they had a facility, with Eva and her crew, and Woodlands Waterway Arts Council, doing fun things like ring toss, or someone calling us and saying, hey, we're having a charity fundraiser, can you make a donation? And there's always a gift basket, or there's always tickets, or there's always a way to help to be able to raise some money for worthy causes. And so we're thrilled that we've been able to raise over $2 million to date in our 20 years, and it was not nearly that much in the first year, so it's been fast-tracked up until COVID, because that's where our heart lies. So don't want to keep you guys standing and staring at me. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'm just really, truly grateful, and so is our team. And I want to have our team, our purple shirt team, with their new badges on their shoulders that says 20 years of Food and Viacom Productions. We couldn't do it without them, and we couldn't do it without the amazing volunteer captains that we have, like Bill and Sandra, who have been, well, they were at the very first Wine and Food Week as customers, and then they've been volunteering for every year since then. So we couldn't do it without each and every one of you, the ones that write about it, the ones that provide the water, the ones that provide transportation to pick up our chefs in their beautiful Cadillacs. All those pieces and parts, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, it's a quantum leap, and it truly does take a village. Thank you.